All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn, but not today. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today is going to be a Barn Talk Hot Topics episode. We haven't had one of these in a while, so we're going to cover a lot of stuff going on in America and in the world and give you guys our thoughts on it. These are arguably some of our favorite episodes because it's just sometimes nice to just let it all out. So
it's all the voices in my head.
Yep.
There are a lot because we haven't had one. We've had all these guest episodes. So
I know you got to stay relatively quiet on the guest episodes for the most part. You got to let them talk.
It's like me at most places. I can't really say what I actually think as to not get the hairy eyeball from somebody. So,
but here is a safe place for you.
It is. This is a safe spot.
This is your safe room.
Yep, that's right.
So we're going to get into all the nitty-gritty stuff going on in the world, give you guys our thoughts and opinions on it. But before we get into it, you guys know the drill if you've been listening for a while. If you get any value from the show, please share it out with the people that you know. The more that you guys do that, the more that this show grows. If you love Barn Talk, it's probably the most important thing that you can do because it helps our show grow. We found it's the best way to grow our podcast organically. And we appreciate all of you that do that. And it's kind of the ticket to admission to watch or listen to the show. Another thing you can do to help us out here at Barn Talk is leave a review on Spotify or Apple. We love hearing your guys' feedback. We love seeing those reviews pour in. And it makes our show more credible. So the more credible we are, the more guests we can come to the barn to have some great conversations. So thank you all that do that. And last thing you can do to support us here at Barn Talk is support our direct-to-consumer meat business, Farmer Grade, farmergrade.com. We don't have a Patreon. We have something we like to call a Metreon. So if you love the show, you want it to grow, you want us to continue to invest in this show and make it better, go get yourself a box of meat. Or better yet, if you own a business, if you're a salesperson, if you have a big family that you want to give the gift of meat this year to, we at Farmer Grade would love to help you out. We rolled out a corporate gifting, group gifting tab collection on the website. So if you have any interest in it at all, we would love to take care of you this holiday season and get you a box of meat for your team or for your loved ones. So give us a shot.
Look at you. You got her all. You're getting her figured out.
I'm getting her dialed in.
That's good.
I haven't even had coffee this morning, which is crazy. I feel like I would be on another level if I had
just
coffee.
Running on pure excellence.
Yep, just pure piss and vinegar.
That's great.
It is great. How are you doing?
You know what? Every day is like every other day. I woke up this morning and made coffee and was sitting there, and I thought a text came through because I have a Friday morning men's group at my church, and totally didn't know it was Friday. Like, I don't know what day I really thought it was, but I looked at my phone and it didn't really make sense. And then I was like, yeah, I guess I better get going. I wasn't late. I made it there on time, but I honestly had no idea. I'm a little behind. I don't feel like I've gotten caught up from harvest for some reason. So it's good to have a little structure. Nothing gets us back on track like a podcast. And I'm going to get you all squared away, starting with a hot off the press market update. December corn, 429. March corn, 441. If you are like me, all your hopes, dreams, and desires when it comes to your marketing plan rests on March futures. So hopefully that goes in the right direction. Locally, $4 corn bid just about everywhere, including Cedar Rapids. I think Cedar Rapids has like a 402, but most places around $4. There's one feeder that must have bought an awful lot of corn because their bid is trash. It's like $378 or something like that. 420 in Burlington if you want to haul it down there. Beans for November, $10.90, and beans for November of 26 is $10.90. And $10.79 at Burlington, $10.92 at Quincy. Bean meal, $313 a ton. Wheat for December, 5.19. And then I thought I'd throw cotton in there. Somebody's like, oh, throw cotton in there. So I said, yeah, I'll do that. December cotton futures, 64.76. I don't know. Is that a ton?
You're asking the wrong brother.
It takes a lot of cotton to make a ton. I don't know what that is. Probably, is that a bale? A bundle? I don't know. Somebody enlighten me.
A bundle sounds right.
Yeah. We'll call it that.
A sack. They put them. Do they put it in sacks?
I think they bale it anymore. I don't know. I don't know. Probably need to go. We probably need to take a trip next time we're down south.
Or get somebody on that.
Yep, we need to get a cotton farmer in here. Hogs for December, 80.85. July hogs next year, 98.70. Oh, look at that. The meat
Ass
price.
is puckered.
Yep. Sawyer's going to have to pay. He's going to have to pay through the nose next year.
Still would be better than beef, though, probably.
Yeah, it will be. Will be. Cattle for December, 231. Feeder cattle for November, 341. John Deere stock, 465. Crude oil, $60. I said this many times. The oil market seems very inelastic. It just does not move a whole lot. I don't know how long it's been since it's really been over like $72. Been a while. S&P 500, 65.32. Google, $281. Bitcoin's 110. Been hanging out there. Tesla, $440 a share. Gold, $40.20. And silver, $44. I saw a guy took some silver into like a coin shop, sold it. They said right now, gold sales to buying is like 8-1. People selling gold versus buying gold, which would make sense since gold is an all-time high. Silver's kind of the same way. Not very many buyers, mostly sellers, which that doesn't surprise me.
I came across a video on YouTube, and it was a video from 12 years ago. There's this guy that's been a Bitcoin bull for a long time, and he put out a video and the title is Bitcoin Update. Just buy $1 worth of Bitcoin, please! Exclamation point. And he put that video out in 2012.
Yep, he looked pretty good.
It's got like 12 million views now or something like that. And he was just, I watched a little bit of it, and he was just like, please, for the love of God, it's $1. Just buy $1 worth of it. I promise you. It's going to be worth it.
You said that was 12 years ago?
Yeah.
It's 110,000 today?
Yeah. I don't know if was it $1 in 2012 or was it?
It very well could be. I don't know. I don't remember.
He was just advocating so hard. Just buy $1. Just buy $1.
Regardless of what it was in 2012, I'm sure it was very, very low.
I would have been. No, I think actually it was 2013. I would have been 13 years old, and I think back and I'm like, gosh. Instead of focusing on girls and football and all that shit, if I just would have found that video.
You could have been like that guy that you could have hooked a miner up on top of the pop machine in the study hall, let the school pay for your power. Made a fortune.
Yeah. There was a guy that we met that he put a Bitcoin miner in his work at his job. He like put it behind the vending machine in the break room and put a Bitcoin miner on there and just ran on their power. Probably not going to tell you who that guy's name was, but he definitely mined some Bitcoin on somebody else's dollar, which is funny. But no, that would just been crazy. Just imagine if you would have 13 years old, you just buy $10 worth of Bitcoin.
So the new version of that is there's people popping up all over preaching that same thing about XRP. And if any of you know much about crypto and all the shit coins and all that, XRP just about didn't exist. XRP was one of the tokens that the government under Biden, but maybe it started under, no, it had to have been under Biden, I think. They really went after it hard and just about, I think the founders tried to like criminally charge them. Somebody will correct me on that. But anyway, XRP almost like disappeared, and now it's back. And so there's plenty of bulls on XRP saying, if you just buy 10, and I think it's like, is it $4? I don't know. I had it on here, but I don't put it on anymore. 30-year Treasury 4.64, 10-year 4.9. Fed cut interest rates 0.25%. We'll get into all that a little bit. Wanted to say, I put that cotton bid in here, and somebody had messaged us, and we were talking about how corn, we just grow corn over such a huge area anymore, and we're kind of beholden to like 2 crops, corn and soybeans. And somebody messaged us that said down where they are, you used to grow cotton and peanuts, and now then, you grow corn. And if you look at a 10-year chart of cotton, you'll see why. Because cotton price, whatever period of time you want to look at, just keeps going down. And so, what choice do you have? And I think that's a problem all over agriculture, because then sugar beets, same way. The margin on sugar beets, terrible. The only thing that has kept those guys in business is production. They've reduced their production cost, and they've got their yield better, but it's kind of a shit show. And then a guy messaged me this morning, and they raise cranberries. And he said, same deal. The cranberry market is controlled by just a handful of players. And it used to be that if you could get, 200 crates to an acre, that was good. And now then if you don't get 300, it's crap. And there's some varieties out there that they think now they're pushing it over 500. And but the price just keeps getting worse. So, I mean, they're all in the same way. Potatoes, same problem. Ag, we're kind of a victim of our own success is what it comes down to. And a lot of that is pushed by chemical companies, genetic companies, because, and I've said this before, and I'll beat up on the fertilizer guy, selling fertilizer, there's no scenario that your fertilizer dealer doesn't want to sell you more, because if the price is crap, the only answer to a crappy price is grow a bigger crop. And if the price is good, well, then why it only takes like 2 bushel to pay for whatever new biologic there is that could give you 6 more bushel. And there's no scenario. Just keep pushing. So anyway, all of those deep market thoughts, courtesy to you of our good friends at Conterra. If you have questions about lending, about getting a second opinion on your farm's finances, if you're shopping a little bit for a lender, if you're trying to decide what you're going to do next year, things looking tight, might be the time to call our good friends at Conterra, ConterraAg.com. That is the market update.
That was a good market update. A lot of good insights today on the market update.
Oh, I know. I got it in spades.
You got it in spades. Well, I think that we're going to get into the nitty gritty here, but before we do, I want you to. Dad was telling me a good story the other week, and I told him that he had to tell this story on the podcast. So why don't you give him the play-by-play of your experience with?
So we're all familiar with Amazon, and Amazon's gotten so good. It's like you order it. I mean, for us, it's amazing. You order it and you can get it. Sometimes it's here at 6:00 the next morning. But like my brother lives in Texas, and like you order it, it's there that afternoon. But Walmart, they're trying hard to basically make every Walmart a warehouse for their Walmart Plus service. And I got an American Express card. We use it for the podcast. Anything we do, we run through that, and we travel. Most of the travel that we do is associated with podcasts, and so we use an American Express card. One of the bonuses of an American Express is this year, if you want a Walmart Plus membership and you pay for it monthly, American Express will credit you the full cost of that membership. So it's kind of like it costs you nothing to have it, so you might as well try it out. And I was like, well, might as well do that. So I signed up for it, and I needed some new T-shirts, just white T-shirts, go underneath a shirt. I'm old school. I always wear a T-shirt underneath my dress shirts, whatever. And I'm like, I'm just going to order some.
It was during harvest too, right?
Yeah, and we were in harvest, and I was like, I could have run to the Walmart, but I was like, nah, just order, and it'll be here tomorrow. So I did that. And this is on like a Wednesday. So going to be delivered the next day. Awesome. So Thursday, we're over and we're actually combining west of the buildings. And I see this car pull in, And then I see it pull out. I'm like, oh, that's probably my T-shirts. And I come over when the day's done. No, that's not true. I'm like, I think that. And then like 10 minutes later, I get a text that says, your shipment was unable to be delivered. And I'm like, what? What the heck? And then like 20 minutes later, I get a phone call and they say, yeah, the driver was unable to find your house. And I'm like, well, the driver was parked in my driveway. And they go, oh, really? Well, that's unfortunate. I don't know what the problem was there. Would you like to cancel that order or would you like to reschedule it? And I was like, well, just reschedule it. They're like, all right, well, they'll bring it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and we're still around. And I think something happened that day, or for some reason I was at the machine shed and I see this car pull in, different car. And I'm like, oh, that's got to be the Walmart deal. And I'm going to just walk over there. So I start walking across the lot. Nobody gets out of the car. 45 seconds goes by. Car leaves. 10 minutes later, get a text message. Can't get it. 20 minutes later, phone call. And it's the same deal. Wasn't able to deliver. And I said, do you know why I wasn't able to deliver? No reason was checked or whatever. Do you want to cancel or do you want to reschedule? And I'm like, I would like to reschedule. Monday comes, same thing happens. 3 times someone drove from the Walmart to my house, pulled in my driveway, didn't get out of the car, didn't deliver. And then that time when the person called, all the same things. Do you want to reschedule or cancel? I'll cancel. That has been my only experience with Walmart Plus, and I will say that it is definitely not Amazon Prime. It is not even close. I don't know what the issues are, but apparently, I think there's a breakdown in how they're paying these people that are doing this, and I don't think they have any incentive to like do their job.
Yeah, it's just weird to me that they would pull into a driveway and not deliver it.
And I don't have a dog.
Yeah.
You know, if you had a dog, because I have had Amazon drivers when we had Duke, I had a German Shepherd, that they would call you and they would say, can you get your dog, or is your dog mean or whatever? And I could understand that. No, middle of the day, there's nothing uninviting about the front entrance to my house. So, and I gave them instructions to leave, where to leave it. Anyway, it's Walmart. So I'm going to cancel my Walmart, because even though it doesn't cost me anything, it's really not worth anything, because if you have to drive to the store, what's the purpose of having it?
Yep. 100%. Yeah. I thought that was so odd when you told that story for the first time. I just was like,
I don't know.
I don't get it.
Have any of you had that experience? Like, how do you rank Walmart Plus versus Amazon Prime? I'd be curious to know.
Yeah,
because
it's
not the
wild.
same.
That's wild to me. Okay, first topic I want to hit on is all these farmers that have been going on national TV talking about the tariffs and the soybean price.
Yes.
A lot of these topics we're going to hit on today, they might have been talked about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, currently being talked about this week, but this is a little later in the game. This happened a couple weeks ago, but you were seeing all these farmers going on CNN, MSNBC. They were doing stories on the American farmer and how the tariffs were affecting the American farmer to a point where they're going to have to go out of business because
devastating.
It's devastating. And, I'm not saying whatever. Say what you want about the tariffs. Yeah, they suck. They do suck. No doubt about it. But what ultimately pisses me off about seeing these farmers go on national television and blame all this year and how everything is going on the tariffs is just bullshit, because we've been playing this game as farmers. We've been here for so long, right? We've been here. Our inputs continue to rise. We get paid the same relatively in the grand scheme of things. We have that great year every once in a while, but it comes right back down because the American farmer knows how to produce. And the more year after year, it just is the same shit. And year after year, our inputs continue to rise. And you want to know what's hurting farmers the most? That's what's hurting farmers the most. And that is the main story that needs to be talked about. It's not the tariffs. It's the input monopolies that have us by the balls, that understand that we need our fertilizer, that understand we need our seed, we need our equipment. And as time has gone on, we get paid the same, but our cost of production goes up. And that, I just feel like it's a wasted opportunity for the real story of agriculture that we all face to be told. And to me, it's like, what? I don't understand these farmers. Like when I hear them bitch and moan about it, it's like, dude, are you just getting grasp of your financials this year? Like what are,
Yeah.
so this year you're just figuring out that you're not making any fucking money. Like it's not like, I know the soybean price is not in a good spot, and like, you know, it's some years it's a little better, right? But I mean, it's not like we've been here before. Yeah. It's not like I just don't understand where they're coming from, where they're painting it as if that the tariffs are the reason that that they're not going to make any money doing this, and they can't understand and don't know if this is going to be able to get passed on to the next generation. Dude, that's been the reality for years, and tariffs or not, that's the reality that we all face, and we have been facing for years, and it's based on just the reality of what I talked about, you know? And it just, I don't know. It makes me think, do they just hate Trump that much? Two, did they get paid as a talking head by MSNBC or CNN to do this story? Or three, are they just that ignorant and don't understand the reality of things? I don't know.
Well, I totally think, I don't think they were incentivized at all. I think there's plenty of farmers out there that hate Trump. I have no doubt. I mean, it's like everything. There's a slice of America, whatever demographic, whatever group, people blame him.
And what I want to not get across on this point, I'm not like pro fucking Trump on this point. This is not the point of me talking about this right now is just the fact that is not the reality that we all face. And it's kind of a wasted opportunity to talk to the American public about the real problem that's affecting agriculture. Yeah. I don't give a fuck about Trump. I don't care about left or right here. What I care about is we are not echoing our voice out there to the real grassroots problem that we all face. And it's a wasted opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it goes to what we're going to talk about later about the jobs market. These ag companies are beholden. They're all public now. They're all publicly traded. And you want to know who's screaming the loudest for bailout of the farmers?
Besides Cargill.
Yeah, exactly right. Except Cargill.
They're not public.
Your big banks, your farm credits, your robo-banks, those guys, they want to pay out because it's an easy way to get the interest paid on these operating notes as farmers get a bailout. Your big chemical companies, your seed companies, they're all about it because they are beholden to a board who is beholden to the shareholders, and a quarterly report and an annual report, and none of them, as much as they would like to say that they have this grand vision that, you know, they're thinking this many years down the road. Yeah, maybe, but mostly they're worried about how are we going to take 30% to the bottom line that our stock price doesn't tank and our board gets pissed and fires the CEO. And a perfect example of what's happening, and I'm not going to get that cooler doing this, I don't think. Any of you have seen on social media, and I imagine you can get it for any seed company, there's some really nice, like it looks like a fancy water tank. Pioneer's got one that's pretty sweet, and I don't think I'm going to get one because Corteva, which is the parent company of Pioneer, and then the chemical side, they merged like, I don't know how many years ago that's been. Well, they're splitting apart. And they say the reason they're splitting apart is to give more options and quicker response time to the market and better products for the farmer. That is all bullshit. What that is they realize now that the seed side is stagnant. There's only so many bags of corn that you can sell, and the only way you're going to sell it is to take it away from somebody else. And when you get fewer and fewer and fewer players making those seed decisions, it's very, very difficult to take market share, to move that needle. So you basically you have a commodity product, which that's what seed corn is. How do you extract that 30% every year, and how do you get that growth? Well, you can't. So if you're the chemical side, which you can leverage because they're leveraging that, and you come up with a new product that works better than something else, you're going to have to pay more for it. There is more upward ability in that side of it. So guess what? We're going to cut it. We're going to cut the seed out because we're beholden to the board, we're beholden to the shareholders, and we are not operating in the best interest of our customer. And they can say whatever they want, but the truth is, John Deere, same way. John Deere does not give a rat's ass about anybody except the largest operator that's buying the most equipment and is rolling equipment. And I'm not just beating on them, Case IH, Fendt, all the same way. You are beholden to the shareholders. The flies aren't all dead yet.
The fly is really
really
getting on you right now.
I should have bathed. I'm putting out too much CO2.
Yeah, I guess.
But so it all goes back to what you said. This would have been an opportunity for people that if they had that chance to talk about the issues that's really driving this, because tariffs haven't been good. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm hijacking this from you, but you want to talk about the soybean market? The soybean market and the exports to China. China is never going to get back to where they were. I've said this probably 50 times by now. China's demographics, China's economy is so poor and only getting worse. Their demographics are getting worse faster than any modern civilization has. They will never be able to purchase the level, you talk for a while. They'll never be able to purchase as much stuff as they have because it just sucks. And all of us that growers that want to blame whoever and say, oh yeah, it's the tariffs, it's this, it's that, they're never going to buy as much stuff as they did. And we better figure that out because our markets are not going to come. The savior of our export markets is not China. It's just not.
Yeah. Well, you go ahead and start whacking flies over there because they're really on you. But just on the topic of bailouts, because that was the thing that, as the soybean, doom and gloom talk was happening and that was being publicized, then the next thing was being talked about was bailouts. And we've talked about that on this podcast many times before. And number one is the farmers I know, the farmers I talk to, the farmer's dad talks to, the farmer's dad knows, the sentiment across social media and ag TikTok and just ag farming in general across social media or farm talk, whatever you want to say, doesn't seem like there's a lot of farmers screaming from the rooftops they want to bail out. And you ask them, why do you think that? Because a lot of them have come to the conclusion about what we just talked about. What happens when farmers get a bailout is all the input monopolies know that, understand that, realize that that's happening. And what do? They raise their prices, and the farmer truly doesn't see any of that bailout. I mean, very rarely do they ever see much of that bailout because the next year it costs more money to put the crop in the ground, to raise the cattle, to raise the hogs, whatever it is. And there's not much relief that happens there. Yeah. And nobody's even asking for it. Nobody's even asking for it. The farmers aren't even the ones screaming from the rooftops. And that's the thing that pisses me off the most about this narrative that's being put out there. Number one, these guys are blaming the tariffs as the number one issue of why they're scared and worried about the longevity of their farming operation and them not making it, which is bullshit. That's not the full truth of the situation. And number two is they're like screaming like that they want a bailout, that all of us farmers are in this and we want a bailout. which I can tell you right now, I don't think most farmers do want a bailout. We don't want one because we know what is going to happen when there is a bailout. And so it's bullshit. It's bullshit. I don't like, I have hated seeing these guys doing it. I absolutely have hated it. I put out a rant on TikTok. I've seen a lot of other farmers put out rants on TikTok and other social media platforms about it. We don't want bailouts, and we need to find a solution with the inputs. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, and along those lines, if you want to take this to the next logical step as far as how that money works for farmers if you get a bailout. Okay, if you want to help small farmers, the last thing you do is a blanketed bailout, because I can tell you that what I buy seed for and what I buy a tractor for compared to the guy that buys 20,000 acres of seed, and that same guy, when he trades tractors, he trades 5 tractors at a time. The price that he gets, so when you talk about input costs affect everybody, but they affect smaller farmers at a much greater degree than large farmers, because when you're dealing with that volume, and this is just simple economics, because this doesn't matter whether I'm talking about...
This applies to any business.
Yeah, this doesn't matter if you're talking about home builders, plumbers, whoever. Volume creates opportunities for better pricing. So when you get a blanket bailout and they're going to say, for every acre of corn that you planted, you're going to get X. Well, what the guy that farms 500 acres, how that affects him versus the guy that farms 10,000 acres of corn, entirely different deal. The guy with 10,000 acres, that's real money, and that part of that money goes into his pocket because his input costs per acre are a hell of a lot better because he buys in volumes. And it's nothing against that guy. That he just does, the volume gives him opportunity. But that blanket per acre bailout, that you want to be pissed about, you know, the big getting bigger. Well, you just help the big getting bigger, because they're just going to take that money, and that's 3 boat payments that they don't have to make this year for Lake of the Ozarks, you know? So it's not, and I don't know how you make it fair, but at the end of the day, I just think you're not helping it any, to your point, because the suppliers are going to extract their pound of flesh out of that. The lenders, they want that because they can shore up their balance sheet for all the people that, well, maybe they should know their numbers better. And all of this comes back to, you better know your numbers for your farm. If you are still relying on your banker to do your balance sheet, or you're scribbling down, you're taking last year's balance sheet and you're like, well, that's probably about right, and adding a little here and there, and you do not know what's profitable per field, per farm, per commodity you're raising, you got problems, and you better figure it out for yourself. I mean, you need to be your own advocate. So
yeah,
know your numbers.
For sure. And last point on this whole thing, I think I didn't mention this, but I think the people that ultimately want the bailouts are the banks, are the seed companies, are the chemical companies, equipment companies, et cetera. They're the ones that are lobbying and wanting this. Yeah. Not the actual farmer, it doesn't seem. So
yeah, because the last thing they want to do is have to cut prices. So they're going to come out, if this all goes through, they're going to come out and they're going to tell you that, you know, they're working hard for you, and they managed to hold prices. Best case scenario, they managed to hold prices. Or we only just took a 2% raise. The last thing they want to do is have to go out there and cut prices, because, oh my God, Christmas won't come, no bonuses. I mean, they won't be able to afford fuel for all the company jets, so it would be a shit deal. Sorry. Oh, well, along those lines, though, I think this ties right into it. And tell us in the comments if you have any experience with this. But I was talking to a guy 10 days ago about banking. And this blew my mind, and I'm not even going to try to give you the number because I can't remember. I tried to find this online, but those banks, those big regional banks, the farm credits, the robo banks, they are sucking up customers from local banks. More and more and more farmers are relying on those banks. And I'm guilty of it. I bank at Farm Credit. And that all goes back to when I built my hog sheds. Farm Credit, one thing that makes them unique is they can go out and sell bond directly to where you can get any kind of term you want. So if you want a 12-year term, 15-year term, 10-year term on a hog billing, they could do it where a local bank couldn't do that. And that drove them a lot of business when that was hot and heavy. But the number of local banks that are moving away from ag lending is staggering. And that is a horrible, horrible thing because it is the same. It's just another step in the hollowing out of rural America, as far as I'm concerned.
Consolidation everywhere.
Yep, consolidation, and it never ends well. The customer ultimately loses when there's fewer and fewer choices. So
I was just talking to a friend that works at a school, and the problem is consolidation. If you really look around, it is everywhere.
Yeah,
it is literally everywhere. You want to break it down from the schools all the way up to the companies, to the banks, to restaurants, to just, I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to this kid and he was like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of high school football teams in 10 years. One, because the kids just don't want to play. And I don't know if it's the parents or what, but also because there's just not enough kids to go out. And these small schools, they're not going to be able to afford it. There's not going to be enough kids, whatever. And you're going to have so many merging of schools happen because there's just not enough kids. There's not enough people. There's not enough money. And I think that's sad too, because growing up in a small town, small school district, I think there's pros to that. And it's just one example. That's one example of consolidation. You're seeing it everywhere. It's a scary thought.
What are you going to do when the old football field in town becomes the interpretive dance field?
Not go.
No, but you're right. It's like we had the I don't know if we had the conversation on here, but something that you said several times lately is you saw a post about the guy talking about restaurants and about
Cisco.
About Cisco.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, there was a journalist that put out a pretty strong piece about the company called Cisco. If you're not aware of what Cisco is, they're a food distributor, probably the largest food distributor in the entire United States, one of the top 3. And people are figuring out when they go out to eat, a lot of the items that they have kind of taste the same, and they're getting tired of it. Well, the reason that is a lot of restaurants are buying products from Cisco. Cisco has become a giant conglomerate in the food distribution world. And it used to be for restaurants, you'd have your meat supplier, you'd have your dairy supplier, you'd have your fresh produce supplier. Like restaurants had multiple food purveyors or suppliers that they would have for the restaurant. Now, I mean, as time's gone on, that industry got consolidated, and Cisco is like the largest one in that. And people are getting tired of it. And because it just all tastes the same.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I saw a video of another guy that put a video out that was like, dude, at this point, going out to eat is like just seeing what restaurant cooks Cisco the best.
Yeah.
And it's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true. The consumer wants something different, but the problem is in the restaurant business, it's already tight enough. You add this economy on top of it, it's hard to not. I mean, it's hard because Cisco's the cheapest, right? They're going to be cheaper. They're going to give you the options you need to be able to run your restaurant effectively, and going the local route and having multiple food suppliers and going local. I'm sure it's going to cost more. So
yeah, and they're doing
tough.
They're doing the same thing. They're able to do the same thing that I gave with the farm credit example. So if you're a restaurant and you go 100% Cisco, I guarantee you get better terms. I bet you got low interest financing. I mean, they just make it. It's just that friction. Like they have tried to take as much friction out of that business as they can so that it makes it easy. The problem is quality and variety have suffered because choices have suffered because of it.
Yeah, and I think there's room for disruption in that industry, because I think after watching that piece that guy put out, I mean, a lot of consumers are tired of that. We don't want to have the same mozzarella sticks at every fucking restaurant we go to. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's the same stuff every time. I think the route I want to go next is kind of this. This is hot and it's kind of everywhere in the ag world, but beef prices. Trump talking about wanting to get the beef price down, import beef from Argentina. I mean, how do you feel about that? It's a tough subject. I mean, I feel for the beef guys, because it's like this market kind of happened naturally. They've been through a hell of a lot of bad years where they're just scraping by, and they finally got a break, and they have their $7 corn market, right? And it's been really good to them. And these are the years where you're thinking, well, man, we could maybe get ahead here. And it's kind of looking like it might be short-lived. Which, that's markets for you, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that decision. I mean, I understand you want to get the price down for the average consumer when it comes to the beef, but
eat pork.
Coming from a hog farmer. Eat pork, right.
Well, no, here's what I'll say about it. I think it was stupid. Now, I'll say this, though. Well, two things. I think the market needs to operate. So the cure for high prices is high prices, because eventually you get demand destruction, and then you find what the market will really pay for something. And then during that time, obviously, under normal circumstances, there would be expansion. There's been very little expansion in the cattle business. However, it's like everything that USDA reports, it probably is not as accurate as what they would say. And with the government shut down, there isn't any reporting. But it takes cattle are not like hogs or chicken where you can expand very quickly. It takes a long time. And I think that's part of the reason why Trump probably came out and said what he said, is because they know that the market is you're not going to have this huge flow of beef anytime soon. It's a long-term deal. That said, should have stayed out of it. But I think it's so funny is, for one, I don't know, and somebody tell us this, I don't think you can import, like, there isn't the mechanism there to import a shitload of beef from Argentina. More cattle come in probably from Mexico or Brazil.
I heard a stat that said, I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I think we eat 13 million tons of beef a year as Americans. And 2 million tons are imported. 2 million.
And I saw a number on what Argentina could send us, and it's like nothing, which I think Trump knew that. So this goes back to the way he thinks about stuff. What happened when he said that?
Price went down.
Yeah. So nothing happened. The supply didn't change. Nothing happened. And he says all this. Everybody gets pissed. Price of beef drops. Now, I don't know if it dropped in the store. Obviously, it didn't drop in the store. But the market price, the Chicago Board of Trade, drops. And it dropped a lot. And then, they're working out all these details, and you learn more about it, and it's like, Argentina really can't move the needle. So
what about Brazil, though? I mean, with JBS boys, yeah.
So my guess is most of that beef that is imported probably comes from Brazil.
Yeah.
I would think Mexico, but the screw worm deal in Mexico has pretty much cut off all the imports from Mexico because they have a screwworm outbreak down there. But at the end of the day, I don't know whether will we actually import much more beef from Argentina? I don't know. And by the time that all gets worked out, it'll all be old news. You probably won't hear anything about it.
But do you think the market will recover if Argentina can't import as much beef as what this whole debacle has been about? Do you think the market will just go back up?
Yeah. The only thing that's going to drop this market is if demand falls. And I've said it on here, I think I said, if you go back, when I walk into Fairway and ribeyes were $20 a pound, I figured they'd probably move less ribeyes. Well, then they were $23 a pound. Now they're $25 a pound. And I haven't paid attention for the last week or two. I don't know if they're higher than that or not. But they keep the meat and let's face it, I mean, that's cheap. I mean, look what your beef is, because that is the cheapest beef. The beef you buy at the grocery store is the cheapest because it's mass produced.
No dry aging.
Yeah, no 21-day aging, nothing. I mean, it is the cheapest place you're going to get beef, and you can debate the quality of it, how old it is, all that stuff, but that is your cheapest place to get it, and it's $25 a pound. Well, at what point do consumers say...
I think ground beef average price I saw too was at like $6.45 a pound.
Yeah.
Was average ground beef price, like cheapest ground beef.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
I think the only thing that changes the cattle market is demand destruction. I think all of this talk and all of this boohoo, at the end of the day, I don't think it'll move the needle. Even if we were able to import beef, I don't think it can move the needle. That said, I think it was stupid for Trump. Anybody that thinks that Trump...
Well, do you think he was getting do you think the big packers were like... Because you got to be thinking, those guys got to be feeling... I mean, I know they make a fuckload of money, don't get me wrong, right? But they're paying a pretty steep price for beef to get into that facility and process it. And I mean, they can incur that cost on the consumer, and that's what they're doing, but... You got to be thinking that they're probably like, all right, we got to get this down.
Yeah. Could be. I mean, I don't know. I know that, one of the things, and we've talked about this in the past, the consumer price index is kind of a joke because I think the United States tries really, really hard to keep food prices low because it weighs that consumer price index. And governments are very sensitive to food prices. And so all of that may have played into it, but I'll also tell you this, everybody that's pissed about anything that Trump does, and he just said something the other day, like not ruling out that he was going to run again for a third term. He is not running for a third term. And so by that, he can kind of do what he wants because people are like, oh, he pissed off all the farmers. Well, what are you going to do? Because he's not going to run again. And so he's really trying to get his agenda out. And so what I'll say is I don't agree that he did it. I don't think that was a good idea. But I also think he knew what he was doing. And I don't think there'll actually be I don't think Argentina can move the market. I think it was kind of like he knew that. And he knew he would get the reaction that the price would go down, even if it was temporary. And then knowing him, he could tell, he can go on and say, yeah, I lowered beef prices by whatever. It's just a talking point. Mm-hmm. But we definitely have a problem.
I don't support the idea of, I think, here's the thing. I think consumers gotta grasp the idea of paying more for food. I think that's something that we've just taken for granted for such a long time here in this country is we have such a strong food supply and we have such a quality food supply, but you ask somebody to pay $1 more for whatever, and the American consumer is just so used to cheap prices that they say no. And I think if we want to, I don't support importing more protein in this country. I think we should be as secure and have as much American meat in this country as possible. And I also do think the consumer needs to get used to paying a little bit more, because I think the farmers, like, that's why we always say on here, you got to support, you vote with your dollars. And if you want to support American family farms and staying in business and support independent agriculture and not, corporate agriculture in the system that we have, you got to vote with your dollars, and you might have to pay a little extra to buy directly from a farm.
Yep.
And it's no different right in this situation. I know it's mass produced beef, but all these beef farmers in America are winning with the prices that we had. And that's a good thing. I think that's good for them to make money farming. That's what we need to get to on everything. We got to get back to making this a viable business for American farmers, because right now, in a lot of ways, sometimes it's very bleak sometimes when you look at things.
And if you wanted to pick a group of people there within agriculture, I would argue with you, there is not a more fiercely independent, pro-American group in agriculture than cattlemen. I mean, those guys, if there's somebody that you want to support that is all about independence and not relying on somebody and not wanting a handout and wanting to do it like true American, cattlemen. Like, the cattle business is like the only industry left among protein that hasn't been completely vertically integrated. Hogs, you can say hogs aren't completely vertically integrated, but they're damn close. Poultry business, turkey business, completely vertically integrated. So, so the cattle guys, they deserve a break. And we didn't even talk about, but I was thinking about when you were speaking, was something that does not get talked about in this country that I think we're on the cusp of it becoming a big deal. And shout out to my good friend Scott Niemela, that is a partner in Crop Fertility Services, because he and I had a long conversation about this. I think we're just scratching the surface of ribeyes. Any protein is not created equal. So, there's choice, there's prime, there's this, there's that. But the actual nutrient value within a piece of meat, whether it be a steak or a pork chop, based on what that animal is fed and what the quality of the ingredients. In other words, it's not just what the diet was, but it is what was the qualities of the corn that was fed in the diet that cattle ate, that gave that ribeye. What is that nutrient value versus one that was fed in a feedlot somewhere that is the cheapest ration that you could get? I think we're just starting to scratch the surface. And I think as you go along, not only are people willing to pay more money for knowing where their food comes from, I think we're going to get to the point where people are going to be willing to pay when they know what the density of the nutrition is within that piece of protein.
Yeah, I mean, you see that talked about a lot. I mean, that's why a lot of people, like game meats or 100% grass-fed or whatever, because they claim that it's the most nutrient-dense product that's out there. And that's what everybody wants, is nutrient density. And especially when if you want to feel full, you're on a deficit, you don't want to overeat. I mean, you eat a steak that's super nutrient dense, you're going to be feeling pretty full, right? So that's a discussion. I mean, I don't know. It makes you wonder how nutrient dense our food is. Most of the food in the country is. Well,
the food in the middle of the supermarket, but the food in the middle of the supermarket is almost has no nutrition.
Yeah, I mean,
value.
I think that and people say this, but I think it's true. I mean, back in the day, I think food was a hell of a lot more nutrient dense than it is now. I mean, I don't think you can argue against that point.
Yeah.
It's just, but at the same time, we had to grow and evolve and become a productive food system. We had to make that. So you kind of have to give and take there. But how can you be productive and try to create nutrient dense food? I I think you're right. I think that's where we're right on the cusp of that, figuring that out. So yeah,
100%.
we'll see. But anyway,
You want to talk about the AI deal?
well, I guess what I would talk about is, yeah, we can talk about the AI deal, but man, the economy is just a tough place right now.
It is a tough
It's
place.
a tough place, and I can't put my thumb on it. I think AI is stimulating the economy, and the stock market looks really good right now. But when you talk to people, it's really hard right now. Your money does not go as far as it did, and I think inflation is a big part of that. But people are getting laid off, and I think AI has a big part of that as well. I think companies are realizing that this is the new reality of the world that we're in. AI is evolving faster and faster. And if you're not undeniably good as an employee and they can't look at you and say, yeah, we can't do this without him or her, your head's on the chopping block, I think. And that's a scary thought, but that's the reality. But I also think it's like you talked about, Dad and I were talking about this at the dinner table with my brother. It's like you brought up the point that we had an economy that was so good and the interest rates were so low and companies were making so much money. I mean, you could argue that before COVID,
The cost of money was zero.
cost of money was zero. It was easy to do business. I mean, it was easy to make money if you had a good business. Business is not easy, but that time period, I mean, interest was cheap. You were making money. The consumer was feeling good. We were buying things. It was in a pretty good spot. As time's gone on, you had all these companies that were probably like, yeah, let's spearhead this project or spearhead this project. We got the money for it. Fuck it. Let's go. When things are good, it's a lot easier to just be like, oh, yeah, flow with it. You don't have to be so down to the brass tacks of cutting every single thing out of your business, and you're a lot more open to opportunities and hiring this person, even though, I don't know.
We should have an espresso machine and a guy to run it.
Yeah,
That'll
right.
make morale higher and everybody's productivity goes up. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, so I feel like you have a mix of just like what happens when the economy gets tougher is people get fired and projects get stopped and shit like that happens because that's what happens. But then also you have a new element that we've never seen before, which is the AI revolution of businesses incorporating AI, and people are getting let go. Yeah. And I don't know what the solution to that is. But at the same time, though, I'm talking to guys and, I'm hearing in every industry, people are buying less shit right now. People are going out to eat less. People are just being smarter with their dollars and they're not spending as much. And so I don't know, you have this big mixing pot of all these factors. But it's just I feel like we're kind of in a bubble. Mm-hmm. I mean, truth be told, I feel like we're in a bubble. I think AI is stimulating it, making it and the growth of the sector of AI is making things look a lot better than it actually is. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how long that runs until the bubble pops. Mm. But I think the bubble is going to pop. And what will probably happen is we'll print more money and bail out whoever the fuck we need to bail out. And we're going to just continue to kick the can and hurt our longevity of our country and our dollar more and more. But we'll have another promising 10 years of good economy because it's going to have to pop. It's going to have to go down, and then it's going to soar back up, and we'll have a good runway for a little bit, and then we'll be right back to where we are now. So I just don't know what the solution is, but how are you guys feeling? What are you guys seeing? How are you feeling in your household? What are you seeing in your job or your career? What are you thinking? Because when I talk to my friends, I got a lot of young 20-year-old friends that have families or are engaged or are single. Dollar just doesn't go as far. I mean, it just doesn't.
Yeah. I think something that is a little bit of a, I don't know, everybody's piling on is every time there is somebody that lays off a bunch of people, the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, it's AI. AI is causing all these people to these jobs to go. And it's like you said, there's a lot of factors in this. But I think a really interesting one is Amazon just announced that they're laying off like 30,000 people. And the knee-jerk reaction of that was, oh, it's AI. Because they are in the process of trying to implement more AI within it. But I read a really interesting story about that. And I think really what it comes down to is you could make the argument that the reason they laid off all those people is the cost of chips, the cost of processing power. And the point that this guy made was that if you look at Amazon, the only thing that really makes money that has good margin within Amazon is AWS, which is their web server contract cloud services. That has really good margin. But the Amazon, buying shit and delivering it to people, horrible. I mean, probably worse margins than some of your companies like Target or Walmart, because there's so much overhead in that with the free delivery and everything else. And the point this guy made was that the reason that they were shedding those jobs is because they want to build out. They actually have to turn people away that are wanting to buy AWS services, cloud computing, because they don't have enough capacity. And they're trying to build capacity as fast as they can, but the cost of the chips and the cost of that buildup has just grown. And so they're pulling resources from their other side of their business to pay for it. And so a lot of those jobs that are cut is cost saving on the Amazon Prime side to pay for more data centers, more cloud computing, because their margin is so much higher on that. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's complicated, man. Business is complicated because it's like, even when the times are good, you still can make a wrong move as a business owner and you're going to have to cut jobs and stop a project. When times get tough, you're going to have to cut costs and get smarter as a business owner and probably let people go. But then we have, again, like I said, you have this new factor of AI. It's like there's three things working against all this. You could make a wrong mistakes when the times are good, or even if the times are bad and you still got to cut a project and let people go. Times could get really bad, and that the most logical thing to do is look at your balance sheet and look at the things that you're doing and cut costs because things have gotten bad. But I also think there's a lot of business owners that have the idea that, I've heard this from many guys, that like when everybody slows down, that's your it's time to go. Yep. Like Claude always used to say, when there's blood in the streets, that's when it's time to buy. When there's blood in the streets, it's time to go down harder, because that's when you take market share. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a lot of companies that have that mindset, but I think you also have to balance going harder when nobody's going hard, but also being smart and cutting costs. Then you have AI. So it's like so many factors playing into this, but I guess I wanted to ask you guys what your thoughts are on how are you sitting? How are you feeling in your household? How are you sitting in your career? Because, man, I don't know what the answer is. I know Chubahar is going to be on here saying our favorite commenter on YouTube, Andrew Tate to prison. You could check him out. He'll definitely comment on this video, but he thinks that we just love Trump and we worship him like a god. But
we're delusional.
Yeah, we're delusional. Trump, he definitely needs to get his shit figured out. I mean, he's got to get this shit working. I mean, his plan of cutting the budget and cutting all the fat out of the government and making money with these tariffs. It's like we said early on in an episode. I think, on paper it sounds good.
Proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. And right now he's got to make better pudding. Yeah. I mean, it's just the truth. And that's no matter what president we elected, they were dealt with the situation that they were going to have to make a pretty good, damn good pudding. So, and honestly, Trump is whatever. I don't give a shit about Trump. It's at this point, it's voting for the lesser of two evils. Mm-hmm. mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It just is that way.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like we're just going to have to do a whole nother episode getting into the political side, because we could talk about the election coming up in New York, because I think New York's going to go socialist. We could talk about the shutdown, because we're shooting this day before last day of the month. And so November 1st is coming. SNAP benefits are going to end for a bunch of people. Democrats don't seem like they give a shit. They're not going to blink on their end, and I don't think the Republicans are going to blink on their end. So I don't know what's going to happen with this government shutdown. You got the drug war in the Caribbean. We just blew up 4 more drug boats. There's a bunch of people that think that we're going to overthrow the government of Venezuela. There's a bunch of people who don't think we should be loaning money to Argentina when the government shut down. I mean, there is a lot of stuff going on. One thing I will say is interesting in all this we're talking about. I saw an article. I want to say it was in Wall Street Journal, but I don't know. Everybody's hurting, including all the environmentalists and all the social justice warriors, because guess what? You're not seeing within these companies. You know, there was this big fight over kind of the end of DEI, but this article I read, that was inevitable, because guess what happens when money's not cheap and business gets tight? You don't spend it on
stupid shit.
You don't spend it on, you cut what you can cut. So climate initiatives, DEI, this festival, Purple Hair Day, whatever it is, all that stuff gets cut out of corporate America. And guess what was important, 6 years ago about worrying about our carbon footprint and about, making sure everybody felt like it was a safe space? No, now we got to concentrate on getting stuff done and watching our costs.
And making money.
And so there was a story about so many of these like climate groups, they're struggling. They're struggling getting enough funding because corporate donations have just dropped. And there you go. It's like when shit gets real, you got to do what makes money, and it all trickles down. So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Nope, it's the truth. It's the truth. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, in our own situation, I think it's just, no matter if it's your house, it's your business, it's your farm, knowing your numbers right now is more important than anything. Knowing budgeting, knowing how much money's coming into your account, watching your costs on everything. How you live your life personally, how you run your business, how you run your farm. Like, yep. I think we're heading into we're in tough times, and we're heading even to harder times. I think, like I said, I think there's going to be a bubble that pops, and I don't know if it's going to get better. I think it's going to get worse.
Yep.
I just do. I just think it's inevitable. There's going to be a bubble that pops. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But that being said, it's like, what do you do? Yep. Do you stockpile cash? Because, when the bubble does pop, that's where there's opportunity, right? But at the same time, do you want that money working for you? Do you put it back in your bit? I mean, there's so many ways to think about it. But
I think you're right, though. I mean, our intention at this episode was not to end up with me giving you a shameless plug, but I'll tell you what, I started Legacy Farmer a year ago, January 1st, farm accounting deal and coaching. I am so thankful I did that, and I'm not saying that, there's other things out there. You don't have to use that, but know your numbers. Get on a system. Do not go through. I mean, I'd start now. It's the end of the year. You need to know your numbers for yourself. You need to know what you're spending every month. You need to know, what expense, because once you know all those expenses that come up seasonally, like, the property taxes are due, or, my annual health insurance premiums due, or this or that, or whatever, or this is what I spent last year on crap that broke in my house. If you know all those numbers and you know what to expect and you know what your pay is, it's a heck of a lot easier to plan ahead when you know what's coming than every time you go around the corner going, holy shit.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'd say increase income, know your numbers, watch your costs, and be ready for opportunity. Because I think there's going to be, I mean, there's opportunity now, but I think there's probably less opportunity now because everybody's tight. But once this bubble pops, there's going to be a lot of people that go out of business, not only just on the farming side. I think there's going to be a lot of farms that I don't know if they're going to make it through the tough time, but there's going to be a lot of businesses. There's going to be a lot of real estate that probably gets sold. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to get out there and maybe buy a business, buy a real estate property, buy a farm. I think there's going to be a lot of that. So
if you're holding gold, you're holding silver, you're holding Bitcoin, or you're holding cash, I wouldn't get rid of it now. No. I would keep holding it. Yeah. I would not be the guy walking into the coin store selling my gold because it's 4,000. Because if it's 4,000 now, it could go back to really low, but why would it now? If you've got a nest egg out there, I would be holding on to it. I wouldn't be cashing it in and saying, "Oh, I got a great return."
Well, I don't know though. That's the thing. If you're good enough, you can time the market where you sell at the high and buy at the low. I don't know. I mean, because who knows? Bitcoin could drop. People could cash out, but maybe not. Maybe because the economy's bad, people are going to put more into it.
Yeah.
Who knows? You don't know. That's the hard part.
Maybe you just need one XRP. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm probably not buying one though.
My 8-ball isn't very good, and my crystal ball is even cloudier. So, yep.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. I hope and girls, I hope you guys got some value from the show. If you did, please share it out with the people that you know. We're probably going to have a Q&A episode next. We got a pretty cool guest coming to the show in November, so be looking out for that. But we appreciate the hell out of you guys. We love you. And we'll see you back here next week for another episode.